Hi, I said I'd do a quick video on how to insert hair into waxworks for anybody who's working with realistic media. I'm just in the middle of doing this one. It's taken a long time. The hair that I'm using, let me just show you quickly, is these wigs. It's nylon hair. They're pretty cheap. You get them off Amazon or eBay or wherever. And you cut the hairs off, completely off the wigs. And I'm mixing two colours together, so you can see here I'm sort of mixing a black with a grey, mixing them strand by strand. And at the moment I'm just at that stage where I've put it in. It's a bit long. It's actually easier to insert the hairs too long and then trim them afterwards. Trying to insert really short hairs is very, very difficult. Now, I know that there are people at Madame Tussauds that do this all the time. They're the specialists in hair. I'm not. I do a bit of everything on my own waxworks. So I probably haven't got that practiced hand that you'd get at Tussauds, but I'm certainly getting the hair in, and once it's in, I can trim and sculpt it how I like. Okay, so the tool I'm using, it's a needle, just an ordinary sewing needle. You get hold of one, a thin one, and clip the eye of it in half with some cutters like that, or maybe, yeah, cutters like that. So there you go, you've cut your needle in half. It's like a little pitchfork, 2 tines, and you stick it into any spare bit of wood you've got, maybe an old paintbrush handle. And I tend to put it in at this kind of angle so that when I'm pushing a hair in, I've got some choice over the growth direction. So you can either push it in straight down so it kind of sprouts out of the head, or you can put it in more obliquely so that it lies good and flat. It just takes a little bit of practice to insert the hair in the direction in which you want it to spring back out from the wax. I should say, I sometimes insert hair into wax models, and sometimes I insert them into silicone models. And silicone is a little bit easier because it grabs hold of the hair as you insert it, whereas the wax, well, it doesn't hang on to it quite so tightly, and you have to, well, I'll show you how. So here's the hair. I'll take a pinch of the hair, and this is the hair. There's the 2 wigs I showed you just now. There's some black, there's some grey. I kind of mix them together like shuffling cards. Try not to wobble my camera too much. So just shuffle that hair a bit and grab hold of it, and then you wrap it over the end of your finger. Now just clear away any excess, and believe me, when you're putting hair in, you drop plenty of it on the floor. It's just the way it is, or onto your workbench. You can sweep it up and use it later. All the hairs are useful, the long ones, the short ones, but don't expect to get every hair that you pick up straight into the head straight away. I find there's quite a lot of stuff that drops around it and a bit of wastage. So once I've got that like that, see if I can put a bit more light on him for you. A little bit more light there. See if I can do this without knocking the camera too much. What you want to do is take this take the tines of your little pitchfork, and you lift up a bit of the hair that you're going to insert. And then look, can you see how I've made a little loop? It's held inside the tines quite tightly. What I can then do is take that to the head and just insert that, and do you see a couple of the hairs are now protruding from a hole? I'm going to repeat that a few times. You can see I'm putting it in that direction so that the hair lies backwards in a nice sort of flick. As I say, the hair is a bit long and I will end up trimming it. There's another piece that goes in. See if I can really zoom in so you can see me do some absolutely tiny details. Yeah, so you can see my fork just taking another hair and pushing it. Now I'm pushing it quite deep into the wax, maybe half, 3/4 of a centimetre deep. If you put it in too shallowly, it's going to fall out. You need the wax needs a bit of depth to hang on to this. Don't try and push too many hairs into each kind of wax follicle all at once, because if you put loads of them in, they just seem to slip back out again. I would say an optimum is 2, 3, maybe 4 hairs per follicle. See there? I've got another loop of the hair. Just going to press that in there. Can you see I'm raising little pimples in the wax? It's not very sightly, and I have a rather mean way of dealing with that. I have this little jeweler's hammer, and I just knock the pimples down so they hide themselves into the surface of the wax, and also that helps grip the hair. That makes it less likely that, you know, somebody's going to tug on the hair and it's going to come out. So, sorry, I keep jogging the camera, but I'm just going to go with it. There's another piece going in. Now you can choose whether you put this hair in really thickly so the person has a luxuriant thick head of hair like somebody from a shampoo advert, or you can leave bigger gaps between your follicles and their hair will be a bit more lank and wispy, or you can be really mean with it and they can appear to be balding or sort of seriously thinning. Obviously it's partly a matter of time. Just going to slightly move the camera back. Can you see I've marked out some sort of square inches there? At the moment, you see that top square inch? That is taking me about 35-40 minutes, I suppose, to get it all haired up. Maybe a bit less. I seem to have speeded up this week. So a bit more in there. And a bit more there. And can you see how if you just keep going, you're going to end up with a head of hairs that are all nicely rooted in. And can you see his eyebrow there? I haven't even trimmed it yet. This is his cheekbone. These are the wrinkles in the corner of his eye. This is the actual hairline itself. If I just lift it aside, can you see? You can see the follicles, you can see quite a bit of hair. You can see where I've done a bit of stubble for his beard. That's a different technique. Another video some other time. You can see there I'm just working on his sideburns. As I get closer and closer to this hairline, I start putting fewer and fewer hairs into each follicle until in the end I'm really just inserting single hairs to get that hairline as fine and as detailed as it needs to be. And it does get a bit slow at that point, but what you don't want to do is put loads of hairs in a big clump around the hairline like that. That one I've just done at the bottom there. And it looks like one of those Barbie dolls which has, you know, each huge follicle has like this pinch of hair in it, like 50 hairs all coming out of one gigantic follicle. Because unless you've had a bad hair transplant, we don't look like that. So I'm going back up to this little marked out rectangle at the top here, just adding some more. Sorry, joggling the camera again. And you can see how that will slowly fill up. And I get the fun of knocking it in every now and then, which relieves some of the tension of this extremely friendly work. I don't know, you probably don't need to see much more. You can see the principle there. The directions in which people's hair grow is really interesting. Next time you're on a bus or on the train and you're close to people, have a sneaky look at the directions in which their hair grows. You know, some people's hair all seems to pull forward from the follicles. Some springs right out of their head, so it has a real lift at the roots. Some of it hangs very close to the head, looking all sort of limp and delicate. There's a real choice, and curly hair has a life all of its own. That's another story. Actually, it's a little bit easier to root curly hair, I find. Straight hair, well, I'm just going to pan back a little bit on the camera. Whoops, you nearly saw the mess of my studio there. We can't have that. Yeah, pan back a bit on the camera. Here, look, the hair it's all a bit samey, but you can, once it's in, you can start to sort of group it and you can make locks. You can even use a bit of hair gel or a bit of mousse or whatever on this, even on fake hair, and it makes rather nice patterns. My scissors for cutting hair, I do have a special pair of scissors because they need to be ever so sharp. These aren't hugely expensive. Again, I got these off the internet. They're about $20, £17, whatever. And I did say, you know, we're going to style this hair once it's all in because it's a bit long at the moment. But, you know, you can just trim it like a real hairdresser. I haven't got enormous versatility as a hairstylist. I've done a few waxworks of people where the hair had to be a certain style, and I just kind of copied it the way you might copy an old master drawing. I just saw how long the strands were in different parts of the head and just trim them according to what I could see, just like doing observational drawing. I'm sure the people at Tussauds have all got like super diplomas in hairdressing and they can produce red carpet style haircuts to order of the stars, but you know, it's just a sculpting trick like any other cutting hair. So I'm just gently cutting these sideburns to reveal his ear, and I'll do more of that and get it more precise when we're not on camera and the pressure's off. Okay, so that's some of the method of how we insert the hairs, and it takes a bit of patience, get through some audiobooks, but I hope that's useful. Any questions about that? Drop me a line. Look at his hairy shoulders. I think we better just brush that out of the way. I think I have a serious sort of Sean Connery look. Okay, that's all for now.